A small problem. It was dark when my parents and I came back that night. The moon was down and the stars were out. Dad drove the last mile or so without the headlights on. "I don't like this," he said. "Well, I don't much like it either," Ma said, "but we can't just leave the lad there to be captured by the Nazis." "No," Da said. "I mean, I don't like Michael hiding English airmen in barns in broad daylight. He should never have done it." "And what was I supposed to do?" I said, leaning over the back of the front seat. "Just let him get caught?" "Yes," Da said. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't find the words. I looked to my ma in the seat beside him. She had to agree with me. She was the real spy in the family. "He's right, Michael," Ma said. "Sneaking into studies is one thing. Hiding Royal Air Force pilots is another entirely." But nothing," Da said. "What if you'd been caught?" Ma turned to me. "Michael, it's terrible to say so, but sometimes you have to weigh the cost of one man's life against the value of an entire operation." Suddenly, I was back in the street again during Kristallnacht, hurrying past a man being beaten to death by the Gestapo, doing nothing. My face burned hot and my heart beat faster. "It's taken me years to set up my informant network in Berlin," Ma went on. "If you'd been caught, your father would have been expelled, and we would have lost everything." "That's what this is about?" I said. "No, that is not what this is about," Da said, scowling at Ma. "It's about Michael getting shot, or worse." Only in Nazi Germany was there something worse than being shot: the concentration camps. "Michael, you've a terrific mind for details, and the information you've helped send back has been dead useful," Da said as he drove on. "But you're 13 years old. You have no business putting your life on the line for anything." I thought Ma would say something in my defense. After all, she was the one who'd trained with Irish intelligence since she was 16 years old. She was the one who had taught me how to come up with an excuse to leave a party, how to slip away unnoticed, how to lie. It was an argument she and Da had all the time. But if she thought different this time, she bit her tongue. I folded my arms across my chest and stared out the window. No business putting my life on the line for anything. That was exactly what was wrong with Nazi Germany. Some of the Germans must have disagreed with Hitler and the Nazis, but they were afraid that if they said something, did something, they might get shot, or worse. So instead of anybody doing anything to help anybody else, they kept their eyes on their feet and pretended the sky wasn't falling down on their heads. How could none of them do anything? How could I not? Da had only allowed me to come along tonight because I knew where the pilot was hidden. He parked the car far down the lane from the farm, and we snuck quietly up to the barn. The farmhands ought to be sound asleep, and any search for the airmen called off till morning, but we still had to be careful. The barn door creaked so loud I thought for sure they could hear it all the way back in Berlin, but no lights came on in the farmhouse. There was another surprise, too. The barn was full of sleeping cows. Da and Ma and I tiptoed between them, careful not to wake them and set them to mooing, which for sure would wake the farmhands. At last we came to the pile of hay where I'd buried the pilot, hopefully not for good. We dug in the hay with our hands instead of the pitchfork, so as not to spear the airmen. But the deeper and deeper we dug, we still couldn't find him. Ma shot me a silent question with her eyes. "Are you sure this is where you left him?" I nodded an emphatic yes. This was where I'd left him. But what if the SS had searched the outbuildings again, not trusting us to do the job? What if they had already captured the British pilot? Was he sitting in some cell in Berlin somewhere right this minute? SS agents interrogating him? Torturing him? A hand popped up out of the hay beside me, making me jump. He was still there, and he was still alive. My father took the airman's hand and pulled him out while my mother and I brushed the hay from him. He looked worse than before, but Ma would get him fixed up as soon as we got him back to the embassy. "Did you find my camera?" he whispered to me. I shook my head. SS found it first. He sighed and nodded. We can at least get you out of here, Ma said. You'll have to stay with us a while in Berlin first, until you heal up. What's your name, son? Da asked. Lieutenant Simon Cohen, sir, he said, giving us a British salute. My mother and father froze. You're a Jew? Da asked. Afraid so, Simon said, flashing that apologetic smile again. Is that going to be a problem?